It's one of my favorite days of the year. NBA opening day, December 22nd. Weird time to have it, especially after 2 months of an off season. But I couldn't be happier. It's going to be a very interesting NBA season, and it's one of my favorite times of the day. It's time to record and talk about basketball with you guys. So make sure you guys are leaving your comments down below because I love hearing your guys' opinion. To me, that's what this channel is all about: is a genuine interaction between me and you guys. It's like I'm just talking to you about basketball. That's what I base my channel off of. So if you are in for something like that, make sure you subscribe. I know I don't really look my best right now. They're kind of crusty. But I really want to record this video for you guys. It should be a decently long one, unless I talk too fast or whatever. So, stick around for this one. This one is going to be both conferences predicting the 1 through 15 seeds. I won't be predicting playoffs right now. I don't think it's time for that, but I will be predicting the standings, who gets in the play-in tournament, who gets into the playoffs. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you stick around for it. And you leave your comments below. I'm definitely going to, be controversial on this. I don't see why not. So, you tell me where I was wrong or you tell me where I was right. So, I'm going to start from the bottom. Obviously, there's no reason to start at the top. At 15 in the West, Oklahoma City Thunder. Fairly obvious, right? Like, in a completely loaded league right now, it seems like everyone has a star, everyone has 2 stars, or everyone has like a really promising team. The Thunder sold other pieces for picks. Obviously, that's what they wanted to do. They completed that mission, but other than Shea, Al Horford is their best player, George Hill. So, yeah, write them off as a low-seeded team. And, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they want, to get a higher draft pick. So, no surprises there. I'm actually going to just completely start in the West with the bottom feeders, and then I'll move over to the East bottom feeders. At 14 in the West, I got the Houston Rockets. This might be the first surprise of the video, and it's coming fairly soon, obviously. The Houston Rockets are going to end up trading James Harden to me within the first month of the season, no doubt. And a team led by John Wall, Christian Wood, and probably a hurt Boogie Cousins. That team's not going to get very far, especially when you see the teams ahead of it. I think that, you look at that team and you're like, well, they can scar a few wins. It's not the same NBA, guys. We're looking at a completely different NBA. Right ahead of them, I have the San Antonio Spurs. I think DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge are going to take huge regression. DeMar, not as much. I think LaMarcus is going to fall into Al Horford kind. You know what I mean? Like, just not that good anymore. DeMar is going to lead this team, and DeJounte Murray is going to lead this team to the 13 seed, right? But it's not going to be by much. This team is going to miss the playoffs for the second straight season. And then at 12, I have the Kings. This one was kind of difficult because I looked at the Kings and I was so excited for them. De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley's coming back. They signed Hassan Whiteside, very good signing for the deal he got. But I can't see this team passing the teams ahead. It's honestly that simple, is where it's like I wanted to put this team higher, but they just aren't there. I would expect Harrison Barnes to get moved this season. I just can't put him ahead. I mean, they have Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know why they drafted him. I mean, we know why they drafted him, right? Because it was an absolute steal at that pick, right? I think it was 13 they picked Halliburton. But he can't run the 2. Fox can't run the 2. They can't play on the same court, Fox and Halliburton. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So for that reason, I had to give him 12. Seems a little bit low maybe, but at 11, I went with the Timberwolves, barely missing the play-in tournament. As far as I understand the rules, at least. If I'm getting anything wrong about the play-in tournament, you let me know down below for sure. But I did just read up on it a little bit. The T-Wolves will miss it just simply because of their lack of a power forward and bench. Their guard position's loaded. But right now they just cut Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, which is so confusing to me. Because he was a solid power forward and he was going to come in and start for them. And now they have Juancho, who should be strictly center. Juancho Hernan-Gomez, that is. Looks like he's going to start at power forward unless it's Jake Layman. Either way you spin that's just not good. I mean, Cat and D'Lo, great players. Not better than any of the teams ahead of them, though, for sure. Looking at number 10. No. Okay, we're going to go to the East now and get off those bottom feeders. Those are the bottom feeders for the West. Yeah, we're almost 5 minutes in, so this should be a little bit of a long video. You guys strap in for this. At 15, we got the New York Knicks. Obvious. I think Obi Toppin's going to have a great rookie year. But that team is garbage. 14, the Pistons. I love the pick of Killian Hayes, but this team isn't talented. Blake Griffin might have a little bit of a bounce back year, but even if he does, this team isn't good at all. At 13, the Cavs. Andre Drummond, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Kevin Porter Jr. might scrape out a few wins, but they're just not that much better than the Pistons. The Pistons aren't that much better from the Knicks, to be honest with you. So I can't see this team doing any better than the 13 seed. At 12, the Hornets. Now it's when it really kind of starts to pick up. Gordon Hayward will get this team higher than any of the three other teams that I mentioned. It's just it's a different level now. Once we hit this part, it's a different level of teams. But I think LaMelo Ball is going to be Rookie of the Year. I think that Gordon Hayward is going to have a great bounce back year. I just don't see this team being ahead. I think in my mind it was a debate between them being at 11 or 12, but I don't see them making the play-in. Sorry, Hornets fans. Sorry, everyone that was super excited. I was excited to watch this team. I mean, obviously, I still am excited to watch this team, but I can't see them making the playoffs. Leave your comments on them below, because I know that's it could be a controversial take. At 11, I got the Bulls just barely missing the play-in tournament. I don't think this team has any sort of clutch gene at all where they can get in to the playoff tournament. But I love Zach LaVine. I love the core they have. They need to figure out the center position, see if Wendell Carter's their guy. Looks like they're going to let him hit the restricted free agent market. But I don't think this team is just good enough to get in. So we're going to go into the play-in tournament now. As far as I know, this is teams 7 through 10. So 4 teams playing in to get those last 2 seeds, right? So at 10 in the West, I have the Golden State Warriors. Without Klay Thompson, this team dropped for me dramatically. But they did build a very solid team with Oubre, Wiggins, Curry, Draymond, James Wiseman, Eric Pascal. I think this is an awesome team. I think this team will be the number 10 seed in a pretty deep West. I think Steph Curry will have a very good bounce back here. I mentioned him in my MVP video as a 4 or 5 in the race. So I think when you have a 4 or 5 in the MVP race, you can't really count out the Golden State Warriors. So for that reason, I put them at 10. At number 9, I put the Memphis Grizzlies. I think John Morant's going to have a great progression. Jaren Jackson, once he comes back healthy, is going to be amazing. This team is built really, really well. I talked about them, obviously, in my Grizzlies video. I have a ton of videos on all these teams, so if you guys want to check that out. But I think the Grizzlies are just slightly better than the Warriors. You could make an absolute valid case for the Warriors being ahead of the Grizzlies. I'd respect it, but at the end of the day, these 4 teams are some of the same, where they're just barely making it. Number 8, the Trailblazers. This one was difficult. I didn't like that they lost Hassan Whiteside, but they brought in some decent pieces. Brought in Rocco, which is amazing. I had them barely, without the play-in tournament, they would have made it for me as the 8 seed again. Dame's going to have a great year. I saw Clay Taylor's comment before, which was Dame is going to be number 2 in the MVP race. If he does something like that, I think they'll be a lot higher on this list, but I just don't have him doing that. I have CJ possibly being traded after this season just due to disappointment. So watch out for that. And at number 7, I have the New Orleans Pelicans, one of the most interesting teams. I'm super excited to see how this team plays. I think Zion's going to have almost an MVP caliber year. He's going to be electric. Brendan Ingram's going to be an all-star. They brought in pieces like Bledsoe and Steven Adams. I don't see how this team could not make the playoffs unless it was something chemistry-wise or culture-wise. But this team definitely has all the talent in the world. I'm excited to watch this team. I think this team is going to be a show. So that's it for the West. Warriors, Grizzlies, Trailblazers, Pelicans from 10 to 7. Moving over to the East, I got the Magic at 10. I think this team is just barely talented enough to scrape in over the Bulls or the Hornets. I think those 3 are really, you could play around with that. Guys like Fournier, Aaron Gordon. I mean, Markelle Fultz just got his bag. Good for you, man. Jonathan Isaac will be sitting out this entire season, so that could potentially put them out. But we've seen them consistently make the playoffs, and I do have a dip for them, so I think this is fairly okay. At 9, I got the Indiana Pacers. I'm concerned about the culture. I'm concerned about the health. But at the end of the day, I don't see how you can have this team in the bottom of the conference, really, with guys like Sabonis, Miles Turner, who could be getting traded, Oladipo, if he could stay healthy, Malcolm Brogdon. I think TJ Warren, of course. I think this team most definitely will be from the play-in tournament. At 8, I got the Toronto Raptors. Definitely controversial. I know it, guys. I know. They lost some very crucial pieces in Serge Ibaka. I don't like that, and I think other Eastern Conference teams made moves to put them ahead, which we'll just talk about in a second. Like right now, number 7, I have the Washington Wizards. This is also, again, controversial. People might be screaming at me saying the Raptors are better than the Wizards, and you might be totally right, but I think Beal and Westbrook are going to work perfectly together. That team is designed amazingly around Westbrook, and Brad's going to put up 30 a night. So I am super excited to watch this team play for sure. At 6, I have the Atlanta Hawks making the playoffs. Guys, this is the real playoffs. At 6, I have the Atlanta Hawks for the Eastern Conference. I think Trae Young, Danilo Gallinari, John Collins. The list goes on, honestly. This team is phenomenal. Inexperience will get them to the 6th seed, but they are deep. They have a superstar, almost a star right now in Trae Young. John Collins could break into stardom. I love this team at 6. 5 in the East is the Brooklyn Nets. The reason for that being, I don't know how KD and Kyrie will work on the court. They've had injury issues. I see them sitting out some of the regular season, and that'll just drop them to 5. Right below the Philadelphia 76ers, who are at 4. I think, yes, I know I just mentioned injury history, but this team has proven that they've stayed healthy a little bit more over the last couple of years, and Embiid and Simmons have a better cast around them that fit them. I think Tobias Harris takes a step up, which I mentioned in my Sixers video. Why? I think Doc Rivers is a better coach for this team, and they could be players to make moves at the deadline. I think this team goes into 4. And then we'll get into the top 3 seed after I go through the 6 through 4 in the West. So at 6, I got the Phoenix Suns. I absolutely love this team. CP, D-Book. They lost quite a bit of depth going out for CP, but I don't think you could blame them at all. I think this team will be good enough for a 6 seed. Their first real playoff appearance in a long, long time, so good for you Suns fans. Make sure you're looking forward to this year. At 5, I have the Utah Jazz. I think Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert play really, really good again. Mike Conley's going to have a much better year. And I see this team being, another solid 5 seed team. But after this team, I think it takes a significant jump. At 4, I have the Los Angeles Clippers. You might be saying I'm too low. I'm way too low. This team on the court will not work better than the 3 teams ahead. In the locker room, no matter which way you spin it, I just don't believe in this Clippers team. People might be saying that they're out for vengeance, and that's why I put them as high as they are, honestly, because I could make a case for a lot of these teams. So we're going to go on to the top 3 in each conference. Some of these might seem like the West. I feel like the top seed is very obvious, right? But the East, I do have a little bit of a shake-up maybe. At 3 in the West, you're wondering where are the Dallas Mavericks? Sitting right there at 3. People are going to call me crazy for putting them ahead of the Clippers, maybe ahead of the Jazz, the Suns. We saw in the playoff tournament last year, we saw the Mavericks take the Clippers to 7. Yeah, it was 7. And they didn't have Porzingis, and when Porzingis was there, the refs absolutely threw. This team should have beat them in 6. The Mavericks should have beat the Clippers in 6, rather. This team is going to take a big, big jump with Doncic. They built a solid team around Doncic. They brought in Josh Richardson, which fits with him a little bit better. Kristaps hopefully can make it back healthy. If he can't, obviously it'll be different. But I come back with Kristaps and Doncic and Josh Richardson, and this team works, man. I got them at 3. 3 in the East is the Miami Heat. People might be saying I'm sleeping on them. People might be saying they're too high. This is really hard to place them. I think that they come back much of the same, a little bit better, just riding off the bubble. But I think this team is definitely a threat. I think this will be more of a playoff team, obviously. Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, they'll be taking solid jumps. People might be saying 2, people might be saying 1. It's all up to you, your preference. 2 in the West is the Denver Nuggets. I think this team is an amazing regular season team with Jamal Murray taking a jump. I can't put them at 1. It's impossible to put them at 1. But I think this team is a very, very solid number 2, almost a 60-win team. At number 2 in the East, the Milwaukee Bucks. I liked the moves that we made. Obviously, I'm a Bucks fan. I like the move that we made, giving up a little bit of depth, but also bringing in guys like Portis and DJ Augustine. I don't think this team is number 1 seed material. I think that they will also be using their like the last 2 seasons when they did the 1 seed. They went all out in the regular season. They won't be doing that again. And I think that puts them at number 2. At number 1 in each conference, the Lakers in the West. Obviously, guys, they're title favorites. They made all the perfect moves. It's going to be so hard to beat them. And then number 1 in the East is the Boston Celtics. I think this team is incredibly talented. It does suck that they have Kemba Walker out for some time. It looks like he's going to return mid-January. I don't know how well he's going to return, but any way you spin it, this team is ridiculous. I think Jason Tatum has close to an MVP caliber year. I really like his game. Jaylen Brown's going to be great. Marcus Smart starting at point guard should be great. I'm super excited for this team. All these teams really. I'm going to run through it one more time. Each conference. We're going to start in the West from 15 to 1. The Thunder at 15, Rockets 14, Spurs 13, Kings 12, T-Wolves 11. Getting into the playoff tournament is the Warriors, Grizzlies, Blazers, and Pelicans. And then into the official playoffs is the Suns, Jazz, Clippers, Mavericks, Nuggets, and Lakers. Going over to the East, the Knicks, Pistons, Cavs, Hornets, and Bulls will be bottom feeders. In the playoff tournament will be the Magic, Pacers, Raptors, and Wizards. And then in the 6 through 1 is the Hawks, Nets, Sixers, Heat, Bucks, and Celtics. Let me know your opinions below, guys. That's what this channel is literally all about. That's all I want, is to connect with you guys talking about basketball. It's my favorite thing to do. So if you guys would like a culture like that, make sure you subscribe. You like the video so you let me know I'm doing a good job. And I'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Peace.